Assalamu alaikum. So, in this video, we're going to have an overview on how to learn Arabic. It's going to be quite detailed, but I want you to understand that there is going to be certain aspects that I can't go into too much detail in this video because it's going to go off track and it's going to get a bit messy. So I want to keep it as structured as I possibly can. So inshallah in the future there will be more videos that are going to come out and I'll expand on certain points. So this will just be an overall, bird's eye view of what you need to do. So this took me a long time to figure out. As you know, you may or may not know, I learned Arabic being in the UK. I never went to Egypt or Saudi Arabia or anywhere else. So a lot of these things are going to apply to people that are just studying in the West, who are not able to go to travel, whether you have got a full-time job, family commitments, whatever it is. This video is going to be for you, inshallah. And there's going to be some tips and tricks and some bits of advice that is going to help you, inshallah, that I've found over the years of me studying. So I would say first things first is to start with the program. Okay, this is going to give you a foundation and it's just going to give you a bit of guidance in the beginning, preferably this stage with a teacher. So the program, I know all of you are going to ask, which program should we do? Medina books, Bainia Dake, the Moroccans in Egypt or whatever. To be honest, the program in the beginning isn't the deal breaker. It's just to give you some kind of structure and to just get you to, make it easier to pick up the basics of the language, the skeleton of the language, if you will. So whether you're doing Medina books or Bainia Dake or one of the Moroccans in Egypt or whatever you're doing, inshallah, it's not going to make that much of a difference. To be honest, they've all got pros and cons. And I haven't really, found the ideal one. There's always going to be pros and cons. Okay, so once you've got a steady program going, so the goal of the program is to get you to a stage where you're able to immerse yourself in the language. We have learning a language and we have acquiring a language. We have learning. When people say learn a language, they're normally talking about skill building, meaning this is the traditional method that's normally being taught in classrooms and through schools and whatnot, where they will say, right, memorize this list of vocab, memorize these grammar rules, these sentence structures, and then supposedly you're supposed to be able to practice these enough where you're supposed to be able to implement them in real time. Okay, so let's just say that for now. Let's not get too in depth. The other one, acquiring a language or immersion, is basically mass exposure to the language through input. Input meaning listening and reading. Input is listening and reading, and output is speaking and writing. Okay, so immersion and acquiring a language come through mass input. Lots of reading, lots of listening. Okay, so the goal of the program is to, in my opinion, is to get you to immersion as quickly as possible and efficiently as possible. What that means is you basically need to know what you're looking at on a page. You don't need to know the meaning because you can look that up. You need to know what you're looking at in terms of what types of words are these. Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it I don't know what you call it in English, a harf, if it's going to be like fi, ila, an, that kind of thing. You need to know what you're looking at. What are the patterns? So the patterns of the verbs. For example, like you've got the verb alima, to know. You've got allama, to teach. You've got ta'allama, to learn. These are on patterns. Fa'ala, tafa'ala. You need to be able to look at a page and realise, that's a verb and it's on this pattern. This is going to help you a lot. You need to know the different pronouns and how they attach to nouns and to verbs, and get familiar with stuff like the masdar. You need to build like a good, strong awareness of the language in terms of the types of words and also the kind of sentence structures, because it's not like English. The sentence structures can be like completely mashed up to an English person. So, once you've got to this stage, by whatever means, now it's time to immerse. So what do I mean by immersion? Number one, you're going to have things like audiobooks. They're great because you can read them, you can listen to them. Stuff like children's cartoons with no music, obviously for us, being Muslims, we want to avoid anything that's got music in as much as we can. Number three, for a bit of a higher level, rather than children's cartoons, I'm going to get into these as well because they need a bit more explanation. Stuff like documentaries in Arabic, like National Geographic, stuff like this. So all of these things fall into what you would call input. Okay? So for us, we're learning Fusha. Fusha is kind of difficult in regards to it's not really a spoken language. You know, like in the streets and stuff like that, nobody speaks Fusha. We learn Fusha for our deen, correct? Fusha is written, so you can get a lot of books in Fusha, and it's used in formal settings like the news and stuff like this. But to be honest, listening to the news in the beginning stages is just like, it's mind-blowing. You don't understand a thing. So let's talk about audiobooks. Audiobooks, there's a great website that I found and that I use. It's called Lingualism. And on there, you get Modern Standard Arabic reader series. It goes up to a level B2, I think. You can download the audio that goes with it. So this website is very, very useful. Me, I'm not a tech guy. I've got an old iPod, wired headphones. I don't use anything, special. But when you're shopping, you're going to go do the weekly food shop. You're walking around Morrison's, Asda, Tesco's, or whatever you shop. Have them in your ears. You're walking around pushing your trolley shopping, listening to Arabic, exposing yourself to more and more input. When you're driving to work, driving back, I normally plug that by an aux lead into my car while I'm driving, listening to it. Before you go to bed, you can sit and read the book whilst you're listening to it. That's more exposure. And the good thing about audiobooks, and especially these books, is that it's like a graded reader series where all the harakat are there, and you can, this is what I do, I'll read it, and any word that I don't know, I'll look up the meaning, and then I'll put it into Anki. If you don't know what Anki is a spaced repetition app, right? It's kind of like flashcards. It's flashcards, but it's on an app. This helps massively. It saves you from writing vocab lists and trying to just memorize lists of vocab. You put that into Anki, and then you just let Anki do its thing. For the settings that you want for Anki, check out a website called Refold. If you don't know who Matt vs Japan is, he's got a YouTube channel called Matt vs Japan. He has got a website called Refold, and on there he has his Anki settings that he uses. And from what I know, these are the best settings. Allahu A'lam. This is what I use anyway. A lot of the information that I have comes from Matt vs Japan, who got it from someone else, and the OG, if you want, is like Stephen Krashen and other people like this. The acquisitional linguists, if you want to call it that. So, you want to be able to look at the page, know what you're looking at, look up the word, add it into Anki, then let Anki do its thing. Preferably, you want to be listening a lot to the book that you're Ankiing. That's what I do. So you get repetition and it makes the vocab stick. And whilst you're doing this as well, you'll start to feel more natural with the language. Like this, you'll stop thinking in English and everything will flow better in Arabic. You'll get like an overall sense of the language by doing this method. Okay. Next one is, okay, so for children's cartoons with no music, go onto YouTube, type in الرسوم المتحركة بدون موسيقى أو الرسوم المتحركة للأطفال بدون موسيقى, something like this. I'll write it on the screen. This will bring up like children's cartoons, animated like cartoons, and find the ones where they're speaking Fusha. Quite a lot. If you spell it like this, a lot of them that come up, they do speak Fusha. And it's good to watch in terms of the language is suitable for you, because it's for children, you know, and we're kind of like children within the language. So it's very comprehensible. If you see, you know, this character saying هذه كرة, and they've got a ball in the hand, you know that, oh, kura is ball, you know. The only thing is, it can be quite mind-numbing to watch children's cartoons as an adult. So my advice would be, my advice would be was to try it. If you can do it, stick with it until you fully understand what they're saying. If you can't, because it's mind-numbing, then it would be better to move on to something harder that you can watch rather than not do it at all. So, obviously for us as Muslims, when we're getting into the immersion style of learning, it's a bit different for us, because obviously, one, we're dealing with Fusha, which is not just like a normal language that's spoken and whatnot, and number two, being Muslim, we have, you know, rules and regulations. Like certain stuff are haram, and you're not going to want to do that. So you can't just be, you know, picking and choosing everything. So I'm trying to give you like the best options here. So if you can't watch children's cartoons, go on to documentaries. Type in wathaiqi. I'll write it on the screen again, so don't worry. Wathaiqi. This will bring up documentaries, and they should be in Fusha. They'll be like National Geographic and loads of stuff. They'll be, you know, whatever, literally whatever. And pick something that's like semi-interesting to you, and try to immerse in that language, and try to immerse that way. Any words that stick out to you, that you keep on hearing, and you don't know what it means, then look them up. Find them, put them in Anki. Again, with Fusha, it can be a bit more difficult, because I don't know why this is, but 90% of the stuff that I find, the subtitles, if you put them in Arabic, never match. Even in Fusha, and Fusha is a written language as well, so I don't know why they do this. So you've kind of got to train your ears to be able to do this as well. So we've got audiobooks, children's cartoons, documentaries. So when you want to be immersing, is basically whenever you can. So like I said, with audiobooks, if you've got an iPod, you can put it on there. Anytime you're doing anything that doesn't require, like, you know, you to have like full concentration for stuff, washing dishes, whatever, put it in. You know, when you're walking somewhere, put it in. You do though, you want to have a set study schedule as well, because it's not all about just immersing 24/7. When we go back to learning a language and skill building method, we have two camps here. Normally, they really oppose each other, and they're like, no, this is the way, you're wrong, and these guys are like, no, this is the way, you're wrong. I like to kind of sit in the middle with it, where I believe that skill building method, learning stuff like learning grammar and learning these kind of rules and whatnot, I think that will help you with your immersion, because it's going to build an overall awareness of it. So when you hear it, you're aware of it, and you're like, you don't have to like spend ages not really knowing what it is and not really getting it for it to click like ages down the line. Okay? So if you combine between both, that's going to be the best for you in the West. So have a set study schedule, even if it's half an hour every evening when you get back from work or whatever you do, or in the morning before you go to work. I would say minimum half an hour. If you can do more than that, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever you can do that. But you've got to strike a balance between the learning and the immersing as well. And you don't want to go too heavy on grammar rules and the technicalities of the language, because you can spend literally a year doing i'rab, right? Which is to do with like Arabic grammar, if you don't know. And at the end of that year, you still will not be speaking Arabic. You could look at a sentence and say, fi'l, fa'il, maf'ul. You'll know all the different parts of it. You don't know the words though. So, I think someone said that, I don't know where I got this from. Someone said that like grammar is like salt or something like this. I forgot who said it. Anyway, grammar is like salt, right? You don't have a bowl of salt and then put a bit of food on top. You know what I mean? You have your food, which is the like words, the actual words, the meanings. Then you sprinkle salt on top. Okay? I'm not trying to belittle grammar as well, because there's going to be some people out there raging now, that are really into grammar and whatnot. But it's just the reality of things. If you did Medina book 1, 2 and 3 and nothing else, you would not be speaking Arabic. Not a chance. You might be able to tell me the i'rab of every sentence that's going on, but you will not be able to speak Arabic or understand Arabic. Okay? Which kind of brings me on to output, speaking and writing. Okay? I'm not going to cover speaking and writing in this video. That's going to come a lot later on down the line. Maybe in like a part 2 to this video. Because I want to keep this channel as real and authentic as possible. And I don't want to portray myself like I'm something I'm not. You know what I mean? So I believe that I have found like the optimum ideal way to get Arabic input. And it's worked for me. And when I switched to this way and I found it and I discovered all these little things that I can do, even people that I know notice the difference in my Arabic. Alhamdulillah. So I know that it works. And I feel comfortable telling you about it. And I'm pretty confident that if you did it the way that I tell you to do it, you will get results as well, inshaallah. So I want to keep this channel as real and authentic as possible. I don't want to portray myself as something that I'm not. And as of right now, I don't feel like I have the best way to start Arabic output. Okay? Speaking, mainly. Writing is writing. But speaking is something that I still struggle with. And I haven't got the best method yet that I would feel comfortable telling you about. I don't want to sit here and kind of blag it like I'm some, like really fluent guy that can do all this and that. It's just not true. So go on this journey with me, inshaallah. And when I feel like I've found the way and I'm confident to share that with you, I will, inshaallah. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, inshaallah. Assalamu alaikum.